I forgot that what's the opposite of daylight savings time when they after the winter when you put your clock at 1 hour ahead. I only knew that because I was meeting the massage client and someone had told me in the interim. I'm like, oh, so that could be why I feel like crap today too. But as you know, I just got back home from the gym. Feel like crap. Felt like crap when I woke up. The pre-workout didn't even bring me the baseline, but I managed to do what I needed to do. Actually, less because throat and everything. But with my massage therapy client yesterday, let's just call it that, we talked more. And I forgot how I tend to be someone who's very open initially, and then when someone says something, I pull back. I'm like, oh, shit, judgmental. We were having a conversation. There could have been things I said also that he took differently. We were talking about sensitive subjects. As you know, I like to use this on the daily. And we were talking, he was talking about him being on testosterone. But I wasn't judging it. I didn't say anything. He was saying how he goes to Mexico to get androgel. And I know he's sensitive about his weight. But I don't go into that. It's like it's common, don't judge someone especially if they're paying you, you know. But I don't know if he got the memo. Because he says, like, oh, I could get you stuff, and I'm like, yeah, oh, can you get me minoxidil? Because we were talking about medication cheaper here than where he lives and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Because here, I can't get this brand. I have to get it off people who bought it somewhere, then they don't like it, then they sell it to me. Just ordinary people. I used to have a website that would deliver it, but they're not allowed to anymore. So it's difficult. And I don't go to the US much at the moment. So I can't just pop into Target and get it. And here we have Rogaine and it's too expensive, so it's like I'm not doing that. Yeah, and on Amazon I don't think you can get it because they just sell the Rogaine part. So whatever. So I mentioned that, and he said, "What's that for?" And I'm like, "It's over the counter." "What's that for?" "My hair." "Oh, you're concerned about losing your hair, and you have male pattern." I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm keeping it in check. It's not a big thing. It's just part of my routine." It's like when you feel you have to defend yourself and explain yourself. It's like if you don't know something, it could be just. His intent was probably not that because he's very judgmental about a lot of things I'm seeing. And he clips his hair down because other conversations I see how judgmental he is. But I don't partake in that, at least not purposefully. Well, because he's paying. Otherwise, I wouldn't see him anymore. And my personal training client this morning is very judgmental also. I think it's just they don't understand, But today, because I feel like shit anyways, that got to me more. And I wanted to do this video before I left for the gym, but I just wrote it down. But it stayed in my head, It's like, then he got into like, oh, I don't know why people are so obsessed with their hair and they're this and then they're this and then they're this and they're this. Motherfucker, why are you taking testosterone? Why the fuck are you clipping your hair down when you when you have hair, but you don't have it in the front? I don't think. Why it's just like an opinion is like an asshole. Everyone has one. Um, I dated someone like that. Just opinion about everyone. It's like, look at yourself. You know, I didn't talk about your diastasis recti, your abs with that big ball sticking on the front because your transverse abdominis is really weak. Um, if you want me to read you, I could read you from head to toe. Read, if you watch Paris is Burning on YouTube, you'll know what a read is. Um, it's shade, but times 100. You're really insulting them overtly. That you're going into all their faults. Don't get me into that state, where I just like go over your every flaw you have and just knock you down. I'm not that angry about it. I've been angrier, but I'm very sensitive to that. Like I like to think I make a conscious effort to not purposely get into when someone says something, to not take it and throw it against them and be judgmental. Maybe I do it a bit unconsciously, not about them as a them, like in general. Then someone argues it, and I don't like that shit. Like that's the reason why at school for this internship, I've mentioned it in a few videos. There's about 5 or 6 people who just take up so much space. I don't mean space fat wise. I mean, one is really skinny. A few are fat, but one is really skinny. But I mean, so much space with their egos and need for validation. And when someone says something, they need to, interject. It's like, you don't need to say stuff. You don't need to, but it's for their validation. So I just back off. Well, this guy, I need to back off too. He doesn't live here, so that's good. But yeah, if I would see him on the regular, it'd be like, no, I would make more excuses to not see him. Like I have another massage client, and yeah, because when you get into conversation, I realize that it's just not. It's not the vibe for me. You know what I mean? But the thing is, why is it like that for me? I was thinking about it. Well, first of all, thinking about holding back, of course. But because being judgmental, so it's triggering in me that they're rejecting me. You know what I mean? What is it, your opinion? What do you care what I do? I don't care if you take testosterone. I don't care if you're fat. I like it. But that's your issue. But I'm not going to dog you on your issues. You know what I mean? And I appreciate the same. I could choose what I want to obsess about. You know what I mean? It's like, it's called living in a Western society. You choose to pay $30 a month or $30 a week. $30, is it a month or a week? I don't know. $30 each time you get your hair buzzed down. Fucking take a clipper to it. It's free. You know what I mean? But then he rationalizes. He asked me if I cut my own hair, and I do everything in my hair. I don't need to pay someone for it. I do it myself. And so then he starts rationalizing, like, oh, well, you gotta live. I gotta choose. Okay. So he's going into judgmental, and then he's going into rationalization. Okay. I mean, he's very narcissistic. It just really gets to me. On the spot, I'm like, I just kind of dissociate. I don't get into it because he's paying me. You don't want to tell off a client because, they're not going to pay you anymore. But it's just really bad. It's really, really bad. But on the other hand, what I, what is the proponent of insight is that you don't just hate someone because they have a different opinion than you. It's not black and white, you know. I've learned that, you know, with the psychologist, who I'm no longer seeing, obviously. Well, not obviously. If you haven't been following me, you don't know that. But I learned that from him, and then seen it on videos and stuff. You know, you can like someone and not agree with them. But in my reality, I don't know how. We're talking, it's small talk, but I don't think I'd be doing anything with you anyways, you know what I mean? So does that go into like I don't like you? It's just a business transaction? Well, it is just a business transaction. So that's where I'm stuck. Because I don't have any friends, so I can't apply that concept of non-black and white thinking to a friend. Because I'm at the point now where I get to know people, and then they come out really quickly, and then I'm like, oh, I'm not sure if I want to go further. Unless I find you maybe attractive, then maybe. And even at that, it just wanes. So I don't know how to deal with that right now. I don't know if that's, I don't know if it's normal or not. What's normal? It's just that's the way I am right now. Whereas beforehand, before all this hypervigilance with people, I used to, and I still am, I'm like open, and then I see where they're, I guess I allow them to interject like that, or some people don't know how to turn it off initially, just go gradually, you know, don't show me your bitchiness immediately. That's another thing. I mentioned at work, when I was at work, there was one person who I worked with the first time. It was the first time I worked with her. She's been an orderly for 32 years. And we got along because she was kind of flighty like me and making mistakes. And I was like, okay. And she wasn't judging me. And I mentioned that to her. Yeah, we get along well. This was on Thursday. So we're Sunday. And then during the afternoon, it's slower in the afternoon, and all the women and the there's one guy, the guy who almost got me killed in the car accident, he was there, but he stays separate. And then me, who stays around them because I'm just listening. I don't have an opinion really. But then they're all being judgmental, you know, they all vent. That's seems to be the norm, that's fine. But this one, the one who I liked, she was dogging this woman who has been staying with her mother for the past 3 years. She apparently was a lawyer. She's a lawyer. And she's been taking care of her. She'll come and take care of her. She'll spend all her time with her. I had a few interactions with her. The first time she mentioned about like her buzzer was disconnected or whatever. I'm like, I'm just an intern, you know. But she's been nice to me, and I don't have anything against her. But this orderly does. She's like, oh, I can't stand people like that. Blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, she really went all out. So I don't know. Does it change my opinion of her? It put me on my guard. I'm like, I don't know if I want to hear that. Maybe she's right, maybe she's not. I don't know. I really don't know. Except I know I have to be vigilant around all these people because they're all psycho. I do know from videos, and even Dr. Fox videos, I have to be careful who I open myself up to. I opened myself up to that guy. You know, I mentioned that one of the people, like, she's a bitch. When I first started, someone on the 4th floor. I'm like, should I mention that? So I don't know. So sometimes in relationships, just casual relationships, you have to open a little bit and then test it and go back, recoil if it's going too fast or it's not to your liking or whatever. That's, from what I understand, part of relationships. So, and then you make the decision who you want to get closer with. Comment if you agree, disagree. No one's going to be like me. People are going to do things that upset me. No one's perfect. Not everyone is evil. Or if they are, it's for, you don't know where they came from. I'm going to eat some rice and an avocado and some fried noodles, which just dropped all over the floor. Whatever.